Hi, and welcome to this presentation on understanding what jobs theory is, or jobs to be done. We'll cover the following three areas: explaining jobs theory, examples, and ideas for your startup. So, how can jobs theory help you and your startup? Firstly, jobs theory is something that explains causality. It can help you understand why customers will be making a decision to purchase a product or service. It helps you understand and explain customer behavior. It explains the progress you're trying to make and helps you better frame your competition. The first and most famous example of jobs theory is the one that Clay Christensen talks about, which is the milkshake story. And you'll see him talk about that on a lot of YouTube videos. It's very entertaining. But here's a quick snapshot. So early in his career, Clay was contracted for a large restaurant company that produced milkshakes to survey and try and improve and make recommendations on their milkshakes for their customers. So the first thing they did was survey customers. They got feedback on various preferences, various tastes, and suggestions for improvements. They put all that together in a report and presented that to the customer, who then implemented some of those findings. The only problem was that nothing happened. There was no improvement on those customer insights. Nothing that the customers told the researchers was able to help them improve their product. This stumped them completely. They thought, well, if the customer can't tell us what they want and what they're prepared to pay more for, who can? So that's when they decided to ask a new question. And the question was, what job are you hiring that milkshake to do for you? They asked this question of various customers who walked in or walked out of the store with a milkshake. And one of the things they found was that many of the customers were single purchasers early in the morning. And when they asked people these questions, the response generally was, well, I've got a long commute ahead of me. I'm driving in the car for well over an hour. I need something that is convenient, that I can hold in my hand, can put in the cup holder when I'm not using, but keeps me interested. It takes me over 20 minutes to get through and keeps me full for the rest of the morning. So it helps me get through a boring commute. And that was the job that these customers were hiring the milkshake to do. That was fascinating for the researchers. And interestingly, it was able to frame their competitors. So when they asked, well, what other alternatives were you thinking of? They said, well, the other day I hired a banana to do it, and I ate it within a minute, and sure enough, within an hour, I was hungry again. That didn't help me. Another time I hired a donut. Problem was the donut's sticky and it got all over my hands and the steering wheel, and wasn't a great experience. The milkshake just did the job that I wanted it to do during that long commute. So jobs theory helped to frame who the real competitors were for the milkshake. And finally, at various times of the day, there would be different jobs for this milkshake or for being employed. So in the morning, it's commuters having something interesting to do while they drive. In the afternoons, it could be something very different. So typically, you might have a parent taking a child to a sports game or some practice, and on the way home, the child would say to the parent, "Hey, can we stop over and get a milkshake together?" And the job is for the parent who's hiring the milkshake is to make them feel good. They're giving their child a treat that they love and spend special time with them as well. So different times of the day, there's a different job. So it's a fascinating concept. The second example is from a university in the United States called Southern New Hampshire University. Now, about 10 years ago, this university was a small regional university which had an online program of about 2,000 students. Wasn't anything special. It was just an adjunct to the everyday part of the university, which was the day students, which were typically your 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds getting out of high school. However, the dean of this university went to Harvard and learned about jobs theory and wanted to apply this, particularly for the online and distance students. And they realized that the university had two different jobs to do. The first was for the on-campus school leavers. The job of the university was help them provide a coming-of-age experience. Many would leave home, or they'd be able to have a fantastic immersive education experience and meeting other people from different backgrounds. And it was, a coming of age for those people, those young people. The online and distance customers, however, were very different. They were older. They were wanting to improve their career and their job prospects for their families as well. So some of the interesting things that came out was that for getting information about funding and about loans for universities, the 18-year-old on-campus students didn't care at all. That was something that mom and dad would do. And however, this was very important for the second group, the online and distance group. So they wanted to find out very quickly and usually within a few minutes. So the university had to change the way they responded to this second group. They would provide a group of people who would respond online 24 hours a day. They would get them the information really quickly. So that was one example of helping those people, because these online and distance people who studied would be working late at night to get their degree done. The success of this university is amazing. So over 6 years, it experienced a 34% compound growth, which is remarkable. And in 2016, the revenues was 535 million. So amazing experience. Another example of what they did was for students who had studied all around and couldn't make it to their graduation ceremony, they would have a road tour to visit all the people in those different areas and conduct a impromptu graduation ceremony for all those people. And this is one of the little edges they did, special things they did to make those students feel included and accepted. During the course of their studies, they had a dedicated liaison officer who would make sure they'd be okay, they weren't struggling, and offer other things to help them. So they really cared about the progress of these students, and the results stand for themselves. The third example comes from the location of China, where nappies or diapers were being marketed for newborn babies for the first time. There was a leading multinational that was able to produce these diapers for new Chinese customers at only 2 cents, and a cheap price, and also no current diaper industry in China and a aspiring middle class seemed to indicate that this was a great marketing opportunity and a great opportunity for new growth in China. Problem was that it failed. They just didn't seem to crack the market and to help encourage this new adoption of this Western practice. And so then they thought about it and thought, well, based on their research, they knew that babies who had diapers were more likely to sleep through the night. They would be less disrupted when something happened. This sleeping through the night was well known that it helped with babies' cognitive abilities the next day. They wouldn't be grumpy and upset. And so they changed the job. And the job was that by using diapers, especially at night, you're helping your babies to get smarter. So Chinese customers would hire diapers to do this job for them. And the results was a success. They were able to connect in with a strong job and a strong desire for parents wanting to help their generation, the next generation, to be more successful. And this went really well. Here are a few additional ideas to build your understanding around jobs to be done. Firstly, uncover the little hire behind the big hire. For example, with purchasing of clothes. When you buy an outfit, that's the big hire, and the little hire is when each time you wear that outfit. Broaden your understanding of competitors. Don't just think of the categories that are similar to you, but understand it from the customer's point of view and what alternatives they'll be considering. Next is to align the organization that you have to the job that you're seeking your customers to purchase you for. So when you have that one job in mind for everybody in the organization, that can bring a lot of synergy and success. Here is an example of a fictional startup applying jobs to be done. You imagine an online accounting software for SMEs. It's got all the typical features that you expect: mobile access, instant updates, update paperwork anytime, and Q&A. Your job to be done for your customers could be, I'm hiring this software to free up time. This will enable me to make progress in growing my business. Some further actions could be, write a jobs to be done statement for each customer persona. Your product roadmap is measured against jobs to be done statements, and also resist your scope creep. Measure everything against what the job your customer is hiring you to do, and be vigilant in achieving that job. Here are some ideas for your startup. Now, this has just been an introduction, so I encourage you to deepen your understanding of jobs to be done. Keep learning. Go to YouTube, go to the online websites, but keep learning and discuss it with your colleagues. Consider what job your customers are hiring your product to do. Really think about it and see what you come up with. Validate your jobs to be done statements with real customers. See if just like with the milkshake, ask them, is this the job you're hiring this product to do? If not, what is? Follow the jobstobedone.org website and keep learning and improving.